Everybody is getting out. Adjectives 2D. We're going to go over this in class. I think I checked off a good many of you yesterday.
Can I diagram?
Or did I not?
You
Did I
checked
check?
a lot.
I checked everybody off
You
yesterday.
didn't.
Okay. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I need a couple people who feel very confident in this worksheet. Hold on. That are going to diagram while I'm going over this worksheet. And I've got a note here that, Olivia, I need to ask you to diagram. Would you do number 5? Tim?
You told me, Miss Childers, you told me to do number
I've
5.
never done it.
7?
Miss Childers, you told me to do number 5.
I am going to have you do number 9.
Ooh, okay.
5, 7, 9, and Jacob, 3.
I'll do it on the other board.
Why do I have this written down? Those 3 names, Tim, Olivia. Do it over there, yes. Okay, Jacob, if you don't want to, you can give it to somebody else.
Okay, Jacob. Jacob, Jacob.
Asian brother, come on. Jacob, where's his
Oh, happy birthday, Campbell, you get a diagram.
Can we sing again? I don't
The
think
best
we-
gift of all, right here. Which one?
Number 3.
Number 7, number 3. Okay, so, for the rest of us, we're gonna quickly go over this, and hopefully you guys feeling confident you have this correct. So, all you were supposed to do was to underline the prepositional phrase that is adjectival. So, Jonathan, can you remind us, what is an adjectival, or an adjective phrase?
A phrase that acts like an adjective,
Okay, it's what kind of phrase?
prepositional.
Prepositional phrase that acts like an adjective, it answers the adjective questions. Jacob, what are the 4 adjective questions?
Time, which one, whose, and then how.
How many? Okay, I ask you that question almost every day. Belle, why do you think I ask that question every single day?
So we know, like, so we remember it.
So you remember it because, number 1, it's very important to understand grammar, and number 2, do you think it will be in the test?
Yes.
It might be at the very beginning as like, okay, what are the questions that an adjective answers? So if it's a prepositional phrase, it answers an adjective question, you were to underline it. There were other prepositional phrases, but they weren't adjectival. So Logan, number 2, what did you underline as the preposition, the adjective phrase?
In your garden.
In your garden. Okay, number 3, Anna Grace.
In the cave.
In the cage, good. Lucy, number 4.
In the goggle pit.
In
Or
the
gaga pit.
in the Gaga pit. Okay, number 5, Eliza Min.
On our apple tree.
Okay. Christian, number 6.
On the night that is
Good. Number 7, Caroline.
With yellow feathers and all the.
So there were 2. That's the only sentence with 2. With yellow feathers and on their wings. Jacob, question? Okay, number 8.
With stripes.
With stripes. Another number 9, Joshua.
in the back.
In the back what?
Row.
In the back row. Okay, Kate, number 10.
In the town square.
In the town square.
Wait, I have a
Okay,
question.
Ben?
For on the desk, isn't that technically after and now? Since after-
That's what I said, but I put it up
She
there.
put her thing on.
Okay, it has 2 things. It has to come after a noun, and it has to answer an adjective question. Okay?
On the desk.
Now, let's just think about this logically. Are we wondering which head of the girl? We're not wondering which head, okay? Because people have one head. It answers the question where. What? Unless. Okay, yes, Anna Grace, we're gonna stay in the realm of reality, okay?
Something timid.
What? You know a real person with 2 heads, unless are you saying conjoined? If I said the Siamese twin girl in the back row put her head on the desk, then you could make an adjective. Number 7. Okay, so you guys, actually we're gonna do number 7 diagramming. Ben, you get that? It's more of a where than an adjective question. No, we've already done it. We've already done it. Okay.
Tim already did it.
So, let's just see, can these people see? Okay, so let's look at this one first. And these are out of order, but this is number hardest one. So I'm gonna go pretty quickly. The subject is birds, the verb is chirp. So which birds? Two, okay, two birds, or how many? Two. Which birds? The ones with feathers.
And where were the feathers?
What kind of feathers? Yellow. And then which feathers? The feathers on wings. Whose wings there? So what this one shows us is that an adjective phrase can modify any noun wherever it is in the sentence. It could be subject, direct object, predicate nominative, or
I'll take the preposition.
object of a preposition. Okay, questions about that one? That's the hardest one. So Joshua?
Can I use the restroom, please?
What?
Can I use the restroom, please?
You may. Okay, number 5. So the subject is mom. What's being said about mom? She picked. Mom picked what? Apples. So, which apples? The apples. Which apples? Apples on tree. Okay, what kind? Whose tree? Ours. What kind of tree? Apple. So you see, every adjective is answering an adjective question, including the whole prepositional phrase.
Well, for that one, couldn't you technically ask, where is the apple?
Yeah, so she said that yesterday, if they're sometimes they can be adjectival and adverbial, but adjectival always trumps adverbial.
Yes. So, and you'll often see this. You'll see something that answers what kind. It also answers where. We go with the adjective.
Like,
Okay.
so did, on the wings, where were the feathers on the wings?
Right, right. So the adjective is always the default. Now, did anybody underline after dinner?
No, but.
No.
Oh, I
I thought
underlined
we
it.
were supposed to diagram all stuff.
Okay, so right now, when I say diagram, and this will be on tonight's homework too, you are diagramming sentence skeleton and adjectives. If you like diagramming, as some of us do, you can diagram the adverbs, but they're not required. I just want to point out, because somebody did this in another class, they put after dinner by mom because it came before mom. But I don't know of an after dinner mom. Like, there's no special mom that's the after dinner mom, although at my house I would love an after dinner mom that did the dishes every night. So this isn't describing mom. What question is it answering?
Pick.
When?
Where?
Okay, when? So we go into picked. When did she pick after dinner? Okay? Okay, let's move on down here, number 3. So the value of number 3, did we do this one in class yesterday?
No.
No, okay, so the value of number 3 is just to remind you of
Oopsie.
rocket ships, subject is kittens. What's being said about kittens were adorable but destructive. Is this a predicate nominatives? Are these predicate nominatives or predicate adjectives?
Adjectives.
They're both.
No.
But those are predicate adjectives.
Predicate adjectives, so just know it's describing kitten, it's not replacing. Okay, and then we go, which kitten? The kittens in the cage. Also answers where, but we're gonna go with the adjective question. Okay? Okay, and then over here, so number 9, the subject is girl, the verb is put, girl put what? Head. Okay, which girl? Hey, there's one thing that this is missing.
The one in the back row.
Actually,
Oh.
yeah.
It's row, no, row doesn't go there. Row goes where his back is.
Let's change that, okay? So just make sure that you're telling, we
It's
could
not
have said
capitalized.
in the back,
It's not.
and back would have been a noun.
I do my article capital.
Okay,
I
it's
said back
okay,
row is
it's
the
okay.
Phrase.
So you guys, just make sure that you're getting all the words. When you diagram, some people will count the words in the sentence, count the words on their diagram. Just make sure that they equal. Now, on her desk answers where, so this person put it under put. That's advanced, it's optional. Okay? Okay, Ben.
I put back and draw on the same line, does that work, or?
No. No. If you looked it up, here's the test. If you can tell a word is compound if you look it up in the dictionary. Is there an entry for back row? No. Okay, is there an entry for ice cream? Yes, that's a compound word. Okay? Peanut butter. There's an entry for peanut butter. It's a compound word. Okay, questions? How many people feel pretty comfortable with adjectival prepositional phrases? Jonathan, are you comfortable with it? Okay, just bored. I know, it's heavy. Now stay with me. This is the last heavy grammar thing we're gonna do this week, and tomorrow we're gonna write. and tomorrow I'm gonna give you back your descriptive paragraphs, you're gonna do editing, and you're gonna write in class. If any of you like to work with your own laptop, I don't even think we're gonna need laptops tomorrow, but I'm just gonna give you a heads up that if that's how you write, you may bring your laptop tomorrow. Okay, so adjective clauses. Switch to this. Jacob, that is horrible for your back. Okay. We're gonna turn this over. We've done adjective phrases. I've defined adjective clauses. Who's got it out? Okay, Sarah Rhodes, can you read the definition for adjective clauses?
A dependent clause that follows the noun at one.
Okay, a dependent clause that follows the noun, it modifies. You know it as who-which clauses. So could you write out to the side, Logan, of adjective clauses, could you write dependent? It's going to be an adjective clause. It's always going to be a dependent clause. And you're gonna put these 3 bullet points underneath adjective clause on that handout.
Oh, good.
Okay?
What bullet
So you've got plenty of time, plenty of space. Okay?
Right here?
Yeah,
But where are the bullet points?
right here,
Well, dependent.
right here. Okay? So I'm gonna talk through them while you're writing them. You guys know adjective clauses as who-which clauses. But now we're gonna expand that idea because they actually could be who, whose, which, that clauses.
Whoa.
I know, it's mind-blowing. So adjective clauses are often preceded by a relative pronoun. And, you know, back in the day, you used to memorize all the different types of pronouns, possessive and reflexive and nominative. These are relative. I would memorize these because if you see them in a sentence and you know them, then you're going to know to be looking for a for an adjective clause. They're used in other ways, okay, but they're what precedes a relative pronoun. Okay, I'm gonna show you this in a minute, but a relative pronoun can actually serve as a subject or a direct object in a sentence. So the relative pronoun can be the subject or direct object in the dependent clause. Okay. And then right here, this is because you guys asked such great questions. This is actually bonus. Maybe it will be extra credit for something. Adjective clauses can also be preceded by an adverb. So an adjective clause could start with where, when, why, something like that.
www.asia?
Not all of them.
Oh.
Not all of them, okay? But they can be preceded by an adverb. So I just want you to file that away. We'll have a whole unit on adverbs. And we'll talk more about that. Okay, so let's look at this sentence right, let's see, here. My aunt, who is Texan, rides horses. So I want to go back to the practice of identifying clauses before we start diagramming. So, Maddie, how many clauses are in this sentence?
2.
There's 2. So, Jacob, can you tell me what's one of the clauses?
My aunt, the horses is an independent clause.
My aunt what?
Horses, independent clause.
This whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, but then that would be the whole sentence. So there's 2 clauses in this.
I got it.
Who is a Texan is a dependent clause.
Okay, so here's one clause. This is a dependent clause. And then Ben, what's the other clause?
My aunt rides horses.
My aunt rides horses. Okay, now you guys do some bracketing thing. Can you remind me what you learned?
Dependents get the independent, parentheses the dependent.
Is this right?
Brackets are independent, parentheses.
No.
Yes?
The other one.
No.
Okay, hold on, I need a spokesperson, Belle.
You go from my to horses in brackets, but you put who is a Texan in parentheses.
Yeah, we didn't put other brackets off the
I
map.
think
that's what Jacob said, my aunt rides horses, because he was trying to say.
The whole
Ah,
thing.
He was
Okay.
trying to say like.
He was
rides
right,
and
actually.
Okay, I want you to see, and this is hard to show, but I want you to see that this is actually a separate clause. You need to identify that in order to diagram it correctly.
Yeah.
So we've got an independent clause and we've got a dependent clause, and I've labeled it. So now we're gonna diagram it. This may be a review for some of you, but I wanna make sure you understand this. So Kristen, let's start with the independent clause. Who or what is the independent clause about? Do you, is it hard to read this?
Oh, my aunt.
Aunt, okay. So,
Miami.
I mean, you can move closer. Okay, hey, then it doesn't work like that. Okay, Anna Grace, what's being said about my aunt?
She rides.
Okay, she rides. And then, Kate, my aunt rides what?
Horses.
Horses. Okay, Catherine, stop drawing on the board. Okay, that's nice. Don't draw it. So here's our independent. So here's what I want you to know. When you have an independent, dependent, independent always goes on top. Okay, so what's our dependent clause? Lucy, what's the subject of the dependent clause?
Who?
Who? Okay, and Sarah Rhodes, what is being said about who?
Who is a Texan?
Okay, what's the verb?
Oh, sorry, is.
Is. Okay, who is what? Eliza Mint.
Texan.
Texan. Okay, what, is it a direct object or a predicate nominative?
Predicate.
How did you know?
Because of the linking verb.
Because of the linking verb. Okay, so there we go. We have a dependent clause. So dependent clause is down. Independent clause is on top. Where are we going to connect these two? Does anybody remember where you connect them? Olivia.
Would you connect ought to who?
What? Yeah,
What?
Would you connect ought to who?
with the dotted line.
Yes.
Dotted line. And is.
So,
Oh, we did a straight one for the dependent ones, and then the ones that
She was just making it so.
okay, so you guys,
the adverb
in a
ones.
perfect world, you're going to draw it just like that. But I don't care if you have to do this. The main thing I need you to see is you will always connect the relative pronoun to whatever noun it's describing, okay? And unlike subordinating conjunctions that we wrote on this line, nothing's on the dotted line. Because this isn't acting as a conjunction, this is acting as a relative pronoun, okay? Okay, questions about that? Caroline?
Can you draw the diagonal dotted line again? It says
Say that again.
line. Diagonally, when you draw the diagonal, the dotted line, it looks so nice.
You like that?
Whoa.
Did that make you happy?
Yes, it did.
You can come live at my house. I wish people were that easily satisfied by what I do at my house. Okay.
It was like a nice like thick tip, and you did it so perfectly, and like.
Was it, did you say it was artistic?
No, it had like a thick tip on the end. It was like nice and thick black.
Okay, Caroline, you, okay, there we go. Thank you. I appreciate your eye for
It
beauty.
was very nice.
Okay, now, I'm going to give you, well, I don't want to give you, I'm not going to give this to you because you'll start doing it. Okay, I'm going to give you a
Are you
no.
gonna give it to us or not?
Okay, hold on. The shirt. So that's what happens when the relative pronoun is a subject. Now I'm going to show you what happens when it's direct object. The shirt that you wore yesterday.
That's a nice big E.
Okay, enough. Okay, so Catherine, can you see this? Oh my goodness.
I told you.
Okay, so Catherine, what is one clause in this sentence? And I do not want you to identify the whole sentence. I want to know what's the independent clause.
The independent clause, the shirt
this shirt is dirty.
Clause is that you were yesterday.
Okay, that you wore. That's your dependent clause. Very good. Okay, so let's diagram this because this is a little bit different. So, Josh, what's the subject of the independent clause?
The independent, you said?
Yeah.
The I didn't touch that. This shirt.
Okay, shirt. And Lucy, what's being said about the shirt?
It is being,
It
Like-
is
it is dirty.
dirty. What part of speech is dirty?
It's
Oh,
a
predicate
predicate
adjective.
adjective.
Predicate adjective because it's describing shirt, it's not renaming shirt. Okay. Now,
My bad.
our dependent clause, Olivia.
Oh, no.
I don't call on you enough. I need to do a better job with that. Okay. Okay, Olivia, what's the subject of the dependent clause? You. Because, how did you know it was you and not that? Hold on, Olivia's talking. What?
I don't know.
Okay, Campbell.
You were what, you were that yesterday.
Okay, you is doing the wearing, which is horrible grammar, but who's doing the wearing? You. So we're gonna do you wore, and then Campbell repeat what you said.
You were what, you were that
Yes.
yesterday.
So that, and this is weird, you just have to accept it for what it is. That comes first, but it's the direct object.
It's like when we're, diagramming questions, like,
Yes.
There's-
Sometimes the order, and you guys didn't learn passive voice, but there's ways you can invert the order. So usually I'll say 90% of the time the subject comes first. It can come last, 10% of the time. Okay, so, let's see, why isn't it? Where do we connect these two sentences? Two clauses, sorry.
is it shirt and you or is it more?
It's that and.
Okay,
I got it.
it is shirt, because that's what's being described. What do we connect to, Jacob?
That.
So always, and I don't know how else to tell you, just learn it. Relative pronoun, whether it's the subject or the direct object, connects with whatever noun's being described. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hand out your homework. You're actually gonna do it in class because you've got 20 minutes and you guys are good time managers.
What about?
Can we go outside and do it?
I will make a video.
It's raining outside. Not anymore.
Okay?
Can we go outside since we didn't go outside yesterday?
No, it's raining.
I didn't think so. I don't think so.
If it's not raining, it's threatening rain.
Well,
So,
I can just sit over the porch or whatever.
We can sit under the little overhang thing with all the snow.
no, because carpool's going on.
We can sit on this.
You gave us 4.
Listen,
We can go down to wherever, if we're in here.
okay, I love being outdoors as much as you guys, but today we're gonna stay inside. So, on this sample, so, Josh, read the directions really loud, please.
Underline every adjective clause in the sentence below. Diagram the even numbers.
Drop it off.
Okay, so you do not have to label every part of speech, but I find it's helpful to diagram to identify the parts of speech and to block out the clauses. But what I'm looking for is that you've identified every adjective clause and that you've diagrammed. So on the sample, I taught history, which is my favorite subject. How do you connect the two clauses? It's handwritten. Timothy, how do you connect the two clauses?
For which one?
The sample. I taught history, which is,
Oh. Wait. Oh, with the dot line thing.
between what two words?
Oh, history and which.
History and which, because history is what's being described and which is the relative pronoun, okay? Okay, so you guys are gonna do those. It goes on the back. I've circled the ones you have to diagram. I'm gonna pass out your paragraphs and your pop quizzes, and after I get them all passed out, I'll say a few words and I will answer any questions you have. And I'm gonna say goodbye to our remote learners who can do the worksheet at home.